Let me ask you this, if someone gave you a frame that wasn't made out of carbon fiber, would that be your first choice for drones? Well, if you said no, stay tuned because this might just change your mind. G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, this one is for you people who want to broaden their horizons when it comes to what we actually make our frames out of. We are checking out, and it's from Aquila. I hope I'm not butchering that name. I'm going to link it down below. It's a little ready-to-fly drone, and just look at it. You can tell off the bat, this bad boy is not carbon. It's like a rubbery, plasticky, 3D printed frame drone that comes out, and this is like kind of the take two, because we had a look at the prototype a little while ago. It burst into flames and it didn't work, but there were some things we got out of it like crazy flight times. This just completely changed my mind on what I used to think carbon was the only real sensible way to build a frame. This bad boy is going to completely change your mind when you see what this can do and kind of how it goes together, and the performance you get out of this is absolutely off the chain. And if someone turned up to the races with this, I would probably laugh at them until I saw what it could do. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it on the bench, we're going to break it down, we're going to look at the text and the specs that makes this little drone kind of special, and then the big one, we're going to go out to the field, we're going to fly a 3D printed frame around with zero carbon in it, and then you're just going to see the flight performance, you'll see what Jono thinks about it as well, and let me tell you, you are in for a treat. So if you want to learn something, that kind of sounds like JB, if you are interested to find out what happens, definitely stay tuned, because this video is going to change the way I think a lot of people look at frame design. So on the bat, as a bit of an overview, let's go through the differences between the original version, I guess the prototype version, the one they sent me, and it is a slightly smaller frame shape, so you can see I think that's going to be a little bit more durable in crashes. This is the prototype one they sent me. It had the battery piece underneath, which I thought was a really dumb idea, and the big one, we flew it around on 4S and it just fell out of the sky, so that one is an absolute no-go. This bad boy right here, they put the battery on the back, and probably they made the frame, like I said, a little bit shorter, so it's going to slice through the air very quickly. And probably the big one, when you're flying this around, you just wait to see the 4S flight performance. I was trying to actually break this thing. I wanted to push it. I was like, nah, there's no way they would have been able to fix that, all that sort of stuff. You just wait. It is very impressive, if I don't say so myself. So essentially, as the overview, besides those differences, what it is, it's a little bind and fly drone. You take it out of the box, you rip it around. It's very easy to get in here and actually just hook it up to your bind buttons, all that sort of stuff. It's got simple components, which we'll go through, but the big one, it is made out of these kind of weird, plasticky, half bendy arms, and the idea is you can crash this thing quite a lot. It's going to have a lot of, I guess, give, or I don't know what the actual engineering term is, but it's kind of going to absorb a lot of that impact, dilute those forces over a longer period of time, and hopefully that means less brakes. Now in the past, usually that means you might have some oscillations that might be wobbling around, but it is rigid enough, and like I keep saying, wait till the flight footage and you'll see why I'm so kind of happy. Moving on, let's quickly go through some of the components, because look, it's just got little motors on the outside, spin and tri-blade props, nothing too special. The stuff in the inside is fairly standard. I'm going to put a little list on the screen as well, but you know, you've just got our XM Plus in here, our Betaflight, OSD, our F4 controller, 4-in-1 ESCs, the no ESCs. In the arms, we have our HD LRC VTX up the front with a little Cadex FPV cam, and one thing you will note is when we talk about the design of the thing, you're not going to see any of the antennas on the outside, because it's a very clean little drone once you put the top on, and the reason is because this, it is not the there's no carbon fiber in here, so it's not going to be blocking any of our RF signals, so that is a huge plus. You can have your antennas inside here and you don't have to worry about them getting cut up or anything like that. Now I should have stuck it on the scales, I should have done that at the start, but bear with me. Let's tear this off. And it is coming in at 93 grams, so just a little bit under 100 grams. A very light little quad, especially for a 3-inch. And I've got to say, it's kind of impressive when you see what it can do, especially in the flight characteristics. Now moving on, let's talk about quickly the design of the thing. And I'm going to say, for functionality, it just seems to do everything right. I like the shape of it. It handles well, so I know that the dead cat style with a kind of stretched X dead cat style, whatever it is, handles very nicely in the air. I like that you don't have to get RF noise. The only part I was a little bit concerned about is trying to heat these motors up, you know, as much as I could. I was trying to cook them and it just didn't happen, so I was worried about motor cooling. That didn't really seem to be an issue. You don't have any props in view. It's a very clean image when you're flying around, and now that they've changed this little part at the back for an XT30, you know, it's coming out the back instead of the bottom, I think just awesome choice. The only part I don't really like is I'm not a fan of these type of Velcro straps. I feel like you can't really button those down and hatch those down really, really tightly. So that's probably it. And also, most of my batteries are XT60s. So having an XT30 in here, it'd be nice if you could choose the option of, do you want to plug in an XT30 or an XT60 when you went to buy one of these things? The quality, that's our next step. And I'm gonna say, quality of the components, 8, 7 out of 10. It's very, very, well, I can say it's very, very reliable. It's been holding up really well in crashes. But the frame quality, this is where I'm in two minds, and this is where I asked Jono, because Jono's a bit of a 3D printing expert, and he mentions how it looks relatively rough. Like it looks like it's been made not with looks first and foremost. It's not sanded down, nothing like that. You can see tiny little bumps, but then at the same time, does that really matter when you see the abuse that this thing takes, when you feel how rigid it is? I don't know if I'm too concerned that it doesn't look absolutely perfectly printed, because it seems to be very, very robust. So I don't know if whatever material they're printing it out of means it's tricky to print, but I have seen nicer looking prints. But as far as rigidity goes, well, this thing is just, it's killing it on absolutely every level. It's smashing in that part. So I don't know, that's up to you. Do you value looks or do you value performance? If you're after performance, definitely you'll just have to see why, like I keep saying. And then that brings us on to the pros and the cons. Well, cons. You might get some strange looks if you take this thing to the flying field, because people have prejudice ideas when it comes to drone design, and I've got to be guilty of that too, because I was like, nah, when I first saw this, I knew it had a little bit of potential, but it never really made it in my mind as a legitimate frame choice. Now, after flying it around, I got to take that back. Some other things, you aren't going to be able to fit too much in here because it is fairly cramped inside once you put everything down, but you're not going to be carrying a GoPro or anything like that, so don't get that thinking you can have a GoPro. Moving on, talking about the pros, the things I did like, and let me just say, it's a strong frame, you get a great image, it has great flight characteristics. The performance, because it's so light, was actually like mind-blowing. Like, I did not expect that at all. I knew it was going to be fast, but I didn't expect it to rip quite as hard as it does. It rips better than some of my other fully set racing 3 inches out there. I love how it doesn't block the RF. I think that's a really smart design choice. It means you can put everything nicely inside this canopy. It's going to make it relatively weather resistant too. So if you're flying around outdoors, you want something that's going to protect your drones, protect your components, well, really, it's just a little camera at the front, and if you put a little bit of conformal coating on the underside of the camera, you are pretty much good to go. And then yeah, just and the battery strap. I'm not a fan of the battery strap, I should say. But other than that, yeah, I just think it's doing a lot of things right that I wasn't really expecting from a little company like this. So what we should do, let's jump out to the field. That's enough of the boring stuff on the bench. Let's jump out to the field and change your mind on what you think a little 3-inch 3D printed drone can do. So let's do it. Go have some fun in 3, 2, 1. Out here in the field, let's do it. This is kind of the take 2 with this little Aquila, however you say this, the 3D printed quad. I'm gonna see if I can break it on a 4S, because last time it kind of just exploded in the air. Granger was pretty happy with it, but it stopped working. And we'll also see what Wingman Jono thinks. So, did you see this last time?
No, I didn't.
Okay, well this is great, because you're like big into 3D printing.
Yeah.
So this is a 3D printed drone. This is the revision 2.
Okay, yeah.
So they've made it a bit, they've listened a little bit, they've shortened up the canopy, they've put the battery part at the back. I still wish it just had a wire coming out there, but...
Yeah, anyway. Let's see, they're hard mounted to make it clean and stuff like that.
And it flew for about like 12 minutes last time.
12 minutes?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Wow. Okay, yeah. I mean, it does feel like pretty light and stuff like that. Like, oh man, the print looks a bit chunky, but obviously if it's a drone and you're probably going to wreck it, you're not really caring about how smooth your print looks.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep. So quality of the print, what would you say?
Quality of a print.
In your expertise.
Okay, for 3D printing. Yeah. Okay, it's not a smooth print and stuff like that, but it looks like it's meant for robustness and quick printing. It does. So, Give me a number. A number.
Out of 10.
If I got this out of my machine, I probably wouldn't use it for anything but a quad.
Okay, that's not a number, Jono.
Okay, a number, I'll say like, okay, let me. Okay, it is really stiff. It is. I'm gonna say like a 6 or a 7.
Okay.
Yeah. So like, it's tough. The smoothness and stuff isn't there though, so it looks a little bit ugly.
Okay.
So
sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see how it goes in the air. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna fly it first. And if I break it, you don't get a go. But if I don't break it, then it's your turn.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Gonna get 12 minutes out of it again, you reckon?
No, I'm putting on a different battery. I want to put a 4S on there. Last time I was on a 2S, it was on a Tyrannus battery. It flew for ages. This time I'm just gonna put an 850 4S on here and see what happens.
Yeah.
Radio, you guys are in for a treat. We didn't up ending use a 850. I think I used one of Jono's. It might have been 650 or a 700 Turnigy 4S. But check this thing out for a 3D printed frame. We're about to give it a pop of the throttle in front of Jono. Boop. And look how high that is going. For a tiny little 3-inch drone, it just disappears into the sky. And that's probably the part I couldn't get over, was not only this thing was really stable, but the amount of ground a little 3D printed drone could cover is ridiculous. It had power to boot like I absolutely wasn't expecting. And also, if you check out the voltage at the top, this is one of the first quads in a long time. I mean, look at that little blip of the throttle. You are up so high, covering so much of this farm. It's crazy. But the OSD at the top was one of the first times it's ever been, for me, properly calibrated out of the box. So flying around, I had a very accurate reading where what I was feeling on the quad was matching to that battery OSD. And I think we get about a 3-minute flight here, which is extremely rare considering the amount of abuse we were giving this. If this was any other 3-inch flying it like this, I would expect some much shorter flight times, maybe around the 2-minute mark. So it's kind of going for like an extra 30%, and that's probably because, look, it is such a light drone. It flies around, it's aerodynamic, so that shape, whatever it is absolutely slicing through the air. It handles well. I wasn't getting any oscillation. Sometimes you get a tiny bit of prop wash if you're coming out of a hard drop, but other than that, it's just it was a joy to fly around. It's robust when it comes into crashes. I like that it can take a bit of a hit. I thought this was going to be the perfect place to rip it around these big driveways and palm trees and stuff like that, but to be honest, it was just too fast. So I needed to really open this thing up. It is really made, I think, for gates, and yeah, you could do a bit of freestyle and acro, but I want to put this thing through its paces on, you know, a bit of a racetrack and through some gates, hammering around the corners, doing some sharp hairpins, which we'll do in a minute as well. Here I'm just trying out a little bit of cruise and trying to slow it down a bit, but yeah, overall, I'm going to say, for anybody who thought carbon was your only end, look at that, another little blip of the throttle disappearing into the sky. For anybody who thought carbon was the only option you really had, definitely think again. And then look into straight onto full throttle, it absolutely screams around. So I don't know, I am a huge fan of these guys. I think they've done something well. They listen to the community, and it's not every day you get a special drone that seems to be a bit of a concept piece that also doubles as with like some extreme functionality. So doing a few power loops, and I don't know, I'd say if you want to pick one of these things up, definitely think about the type of environment you're flying in. If you are after some waterproofing or something where you want to stop the snow getting into your drone, this is a fantastic choice. And also that it's black, if you're going to be crashing into the snow, might make it a little bit easier to find as well. But overall, I don't know, we'll hand it over to Wingman Jono, see what he thinks. But you can see the battery range here at about 2 minutes 40. It was holding up quite nicely. I'm just going to cut the video because it kept going for ages. And I think here we are, about 3.5 minutes, and the battery voltage is bang on point when it comes to the OSD. So I don't know, I was pleasantly surprised. Let's hand it over to Wingman Jono and see what he thinks.
Ready, Jono? I'll
Okay.
come get these flies away.
Oh god.
Yep.
It was kind of funny before, but Jesus Christ.
What did this look like in the air, by the way?
This thing was just like man, you were just thrashing it around the whole time, and I'm like, okay, well, it thrashes really fast, so that's cool, but surely he's smoking the battery, and you just kept flying and kept flying and kept flying.
It was
like,
ridiculously efficient.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, man. Okay, yeah. See if I get prop wash on
Is
it.
this the first 3D printed frame you've ever had?
First one
You've
I've
ever flown?
Yes, yeah, it is.
Oh,
yeah.
by the way, my battery is garbage, the one I've given you. So
Yeah, yeah, if
first the one that you gave me. That's why I used
Yeah,
yours.
yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
give it a punch.
Yeah, that's the battery. Oh! Okay, she's gonna survive. We'll fly around for a bit more. I'm just gonna cruise because your battery is absolutely
Garbage.
rubbish.
Yep.
Yeah, like I can see that, like on your run, it was performing like absolute bonkers, man. It was. So yeah, we know that it goes fast. You were just thrashing it non-stop as well. Like, it wasn't like you were cruising and then like doing a couple of tricks and then cruising and doing a couple of tricks. You were like, thrash it some more, punch out, thrash it, punch out. And it just kept going. For how long were you in the air for?
Mine was 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes of just abusiveness. That's what it was. You were just being abusive, Stu. Yeah, garbage.
Look, even though you got a garbage battery, man, you're still cruising around.
Yeah, I'm still cruising around. I'm having fun. It's even though the battery bottoms out when I punch it, like in cruising, it's still just, it's not going low battery or anything. We're still going places.
Is it performing better than you thought from a 3D printed frame when you first looked at it?
Yeah. Okay. So first thing that I was thinking with like with 3D printed frame, I'm like, oh, rigidity. You know, what's it going to do to the tune? This thing's just going to smoke a motor. Yep. That's all I'm thinking. Is like, okay, vibrations, motor smoking, here we go. Stu's going to set it on fire. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I wasn't even sure if you would actually get a go. I was trying to break it, but
yeah. And that was very clear from your flying that you were really pushing it to see whether it will get hot and stuff. You know, even the print like doesn't have like good air ducting for the motors. The motors are all covered and stuff. So I'm like, this is going to be a motor fire, man. But it's just handling it. It's just copping it. It's taking the abuse, which is just great. So yeah, the print doesn't look pretty, but man, it's everything for the tune. And oh man,
you have a huge hawk circling above.
Yes.
By the way, I don't know if that's.
We'll see if we can stand the hawk. And I'm still.
Oh jeez, mate!
Look how good I see us there.
Yeah, I'm standing on the other side. That was scaring me.
Sorry, it's danger flying today.
Yeah, man. See, you were complaining about my battery, but you are still ripping, and you've just hit 3 minutes. I know it's saying low battery, and this garbage. This is garbage
I'm
battery.
on 3.5.
It seems to be very dialed in, I think, at the cell rating or reading.
Yeah.
It seemed to be very accurate as far as I'm concerned. What would you say to the guys who have made this?
Like, well done. Like, yeah, you guys obviously like worked on it, got it sorted, and
I got to say they listened too, because I told them some things I didn't like when I did the other one, and it looks like they've come back with a new version.
Yeah, no, it's just good. It's just good. I'm waiting, like...
You stacked it?
Yeah. I was trying to come into land, but your arm switches on the other one again.
Okay, yeah.
That was really cool. And for you, like, you were just smashing it and it was flying for ages. It was like The Irishman. Good movie, but it just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. And by the end of it, you're like,
I haven't watched that, but it looks long. I went to turn on it, like 3.5 hours. Man, I'm not watching that. But
I watched it.
But we digress. Yeah. But yeah, I got to say that performed much better than I thought. Where I didn't mind the last one, but it still had a few glaring problems. This one just, if you had have turned up, let me sum it up like this. In the past, if you had have turned up with a 3D printed drone and expected to compete on some level of like a carbon drone, I'm like, okay, mate.
Yeah,
you know, that's not really how it works.
Absolutely laughable.
But if you turned up with that now, I would eat my words. You know, someone could rip around the skills. I'd be like, man, you're killing that thing, and it's going and going and getting efficiency that I don't quite understand. So it's getting very long flight times.
100% agree. I went in with complete skepticism. I'm like, this is going to catch on fire.
Yep.
100%. Completely skeptical. It's good. I like it.
Yep. All right.
Fun.
So thumbs up, guys.
Yeah.
Radio, so there it is. There's my review with a 3D printed rubber plastic frame, and I've got to say, take my hat off to them. I absolutely am impressed with what they've done, and I wish I could pronounce it better, Aquila, whatever it is. It's going to be linked down below, but overall, I like so much about this, and the big part for me, it changed the way I really did look at frames. It's not just a gimmick anymore. If you do a 3D printed frame, you saw the performance you get out of this thing. It protects your components. It can be waterproof. It is extremely light. It's very durable, and also you don't have to worry about your antennas sticking out, anything like that, you know, the waterproof aspect. But the big part that I didn't expect, flight times I knew were going to be good, but the performance on a 4S is just like nothing else we've kind of seen from it. It's almost like it was extra efficient or something when it was ripping through the air. So I don't know if that's the shape and the aerodynamics, but I was just giving this thing stick, more stick, more stick, and it kept going on one of Jono's good batteries, and yeah, it's kind of hard to believe. So if you turned up with one of these at the races, or you just want a nice little ripper, maybe going to be living somewhere where there's a lot of snow around, you need something that's going to be protecting your components, definitely think about this. You're going to get your FPV fixed, it's going to hold up well, and it's just doing things right. So I don't know, hats off to this company, and also how they actually listened. We said some constructive criticisms in the last one. I wish they changed this and that. They've gone back to it. They've made it 4S compatible. They've changed the battery, the XT30 placement, all that sort of stuff. So I don't know, it's pretty cool that this drone is out there, and I just think more people need to see this. No longer do we need to just think carbon all the time. But what do you guys think? Drop your comments down below. What do you think about frame designs that aren't just using carbon? Is this going to be the future, or are we still going to be using those 2-plate designs, all that sort of stuff? Comments down below. Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.